My name is Tom Watson. I'm the Natural Resources Conservation Service State Conservationist here in Montana. And my job is basically to oversee the operations for NRCS here in Montana. The mission of the NRCS really is to provide assistance to farmers and ranchers on private lands. So we provide financial opportunities through the Farm Bill. We have various programs that provide financial assistance to farmers and ranchers to put conservation on their land.
My name is Sherwin Leap. We're here in the Bozeman, Montana area, in an area that we identify as Gooch Hill, and we are farmers. Have been at it for, this will be the third generation that I am, and our children are, of course, continuing on to the fourth generation. This is a corridor for herds of elk in the wintertime. We've had wolves here. There's a lot of deer. There's just a lot of different wildlife species that enjoy these open lands. And they're experiencing a little bit what the rest of us are. You know, the areas that they can enjoy being on are getting smaller. So having some of these that are open and available is super critical.
Land trusts here in Montana have been very successful in promoting the conservation of farm and ranch land to minimize fragmentation, to minimize subdivision. Really, I think it provides opportunities for farmers and ranchers to be sustainable and to stay on the land.
I'm Penelope Pierce. I'm the Executive Director of the Gallatin Valley Land Trust in Bozeman, Montana. So the Gallatin Valley Land Trust has been around for almost 30 years next year. And we are a land trust, but we do two things. We do private land conservation and we also do trails. So we have 105 easements in and around Gallatin Valley.
Our first easement was in 2008. We had heard about the opportunities that they presented to conserve the land and to enter into easements. So we got acquainted with the Gallatin Valley Land Trust, and the way it's structured here is for perpetuity. So the development rights are gone, and you are looking at taking care of the land as it is going forward forever, in theory. So you can be assured that the land will be in production for future generations, and it won't be built over or paved over or who knows what.
I'm Justin Meisner. I'm the District Conservationist for the Natural Resources Conservation Service in Townsend, Montana, and I supervise the Bozeman field office. What we do is we work with private landowners to help address conservation issues that they have on their property. If it's a water quality issue or a soil health issue, forest health, stock water, it's things that we can provide technical assistance on to educate them on how to do things with best management practices, and then we can also provide financial assistance to help them implement those projects.
As far as NRCS, they have been so helpful too, because they've provided a lot of funding, and of course they are the people on the front line that are involved with all kinds of farming practices, cost share opportunities. I work with the Gallatin Conservation District too. I'm the supervisor on the district, and we work closely with NRCS, and I've had the opportunity to see the good work that they do and the good people that they have around the state that have been very helpful in keeping production agriculture viable.
Peter Brown is my name. I work with Gallatin Valley Land Trust, and I'm the Stewardship Director there. I've been with the Land Trust about 10 years now, and my role is to work directly with farmers and ranchers that have established conservation easements with the Land Trust, and we look to steward those easements in perpetuity, so into the future, make sure that the land stays in compliance with how we've protected it with those conservation easement deeds that we've established on the property.
My name is Ted Flickema. We're at the Amsterdam-Churchill area. I was born and raised here on this family farm. We grow alfalfa and barley and some wheat, and we have 80 acres of corn, and we also lease out every year to a local potato farmer 50 to 70 acres of potatoes. As the years go by and we started looking around at the subdivisions that are moving closer, we have one right down the road, probably a mile, and we said, you know, if I'm going to live on this land for that long, I don't want any subdivisions in my backyard. So we decided to put it into an easement.
Ted and his brothers, we started talking to them 4 years ago, and it's been a long conversation with them, sitting around, kind of talking through all the details, talking about the different funding programs that are available, And then the land trust steps in and applies for the funding. As you start to have more and more easements that are adjacent to one another, as you start to protect these critical farmland communities that have really high agricultural value, especially this one that we're working on right now, that will protect an area of about 2,500 acres of farmland that's adjacent to one another on 8 different farms. So it really helps to protect the farming community, the agricultural viability at a local level, as well as the most important prime farmlands and soils that we have here in the Gallatin Valley.
We care about agriculture, and we don't want this all to be houses, because I've never seen a subdivision dug up and turned back into farmland. So once it's gone, it's gone.
It's a wonderful place. Everybody recognizes that. So there's a lot of competition for what goes on here. And if it gets paved over or built over, it's not going to be what it was, and people are going to be disappointed long term.
My vision in Montana for conservation is a very focused and targeted approach. We have started a new delivery process called Montana Focused Conservation. And it is very centric to our locally led conservation effort. And I believe voluntary conservation, and that's what we do, right? We work with farmers and ranchers, not in a regulatory manner, but in a voluntary conservation way, that the best way to get voluntary conservation on the land is to start at the local level.